This is a Fox News alert. Just moments ago, Britain's foreign minister saying there is, quote, a significant possibility the Russian plane that went down in the Sinai Peninsula was blown up by a bomb. The statement coming as British Prime Minister David Cameron is calling an emergency meeting of his top security chiefs. Former United States Ambassador, UN Ambassador John Bolton goes on the record. Good evening, sir. And, maybe this is a wake-up call to Putin about ISIS. I mean, this is an attack. All their citizens, much like our citizens got attacked, they lost 244, we lost 3,000. But maybe now he will see ISIS as the threat it is.
Well, I don't think he's ever doubted that ISIS is a threat, particularly deep inside Russia itself. I think his objective in Syria was to bolster the Assad regime. But if it turns out that ISIS is responsible for downing this plane, that is the single biggest mistake they have ever made, because Putin now will retaliate. And he won't mess around like President Obama has done. It will be, I think, extraordinarily massive. And I think he needs to do that for a number of reasons, including his domestic political calculus.
Well, I made the 9/11 reference. Obviously, our 9/11 is profoundly different, but just the fact that, you're under attack. And that you finally...
These were innocent civilians.
Totally innocent civilians, like ours, totally innocent civilians. And you read the newspapers there, and they're saying in Moscow that citizens who have been not united together are now united together, at least for the moment.
Yeah. Look, Putin in Ukraine and in his involvement in Syria has benefited from relatively few casualties, and that has allowed him to sustain the nationalism that's given him political support. This directly undercuts that. He has no choice but a very substantial military retaliation.
Does he now join with us and say he's been at odds with us, but does he at least have a greater commitment now?
I don't think that necessarily follows. I think he needs to demonstrate forcefulness against ISIS, which he will do, but his fundamental objective there remains the alliance with Iran, with the Baghdad government controlled by Iran, Assad, and Hezbollah. It may be they decide to go further. I don't think they're ready for it yet. I think this is now not an alliance issue. This is a Russian issue.
All right. So what is Putin going to do now?
I think he will probably beef up his air assets in the new Latakia air base. And when they're ready, I think there will be punishing retribution. I think that's his instinct, and I think that's what the next step will be.
And you mean he'll actually put more boots on the ground in Syria?
I think it'll be an air attack in the first place.
But you think, but that's been not very effective. We've been trying that one.
I don't think we've been trying it very hard. I think, in fact, it will be an embarrassing contrast if Russia does what it's capable of doing. They've already demonstrated in their opening salvos in Syria. They fired cruise missiles from the Caspian Sea. They can do it. They can now fire it from the eastern Mediterranean. That's a massive step up politically for the Russians. And I think they'll work with the government of Egypt, which has been deeply hurt by this attack on what's left of their tourist industry.
I think President Obama and President Putin are talking about this?
They should be.
Do you think they are?
That's a good question. I think Putin's going to act on his own. I don't think he's going to ask anybody's permission. That's for sure.
Ambassador, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And right now, let's bring in former United Airlines pilot and CEO of Aero Consulting Experts, Captain Ross Amer. Rusty, nice to talk to you.
Good to be with you, Greta.
It hasn't been confirmed that it's a bomb, but it certainly is looking in that direction that it's a bomb of all these Russian citizens on this plane, vacationers. What is your assessment of this?
Greta, this is a entirely different situation from the previous air disasters we had, with the exception of maybe Lockerbie. You're probably too young to remember that one.
I remember it.
This time we have the black boxes. We have pieces of this aircraft scattered everywhere. If they don't politicize this thing and do it properly, we'll know exactly what happened. It's very easy now because we have pieces of aircraft. It would have signature of the explosives on it if it turns out to be explosive device in the aircraft. They can, through the signature of those explosives, they can literally find out where it was made, by whom, and when. So we can find out exactly what happened.
I Are you reasonably certain that tonight they know whether it is certainly a bomb or not, or some explosive? Is there enough material, does the debris field tell enough, the condition of the debris, whether it shows explosive? Do they know that tonight?
You know, the fact that the debris field was so vast in this case, it tells most of the people that are looking into this tragedy that it was a blow up in the air at altitude, perhaps at 33,000 feet. So if it was a missile, a bomb, or even an explosive decompression of such, they should be able to know it from the debris field. The question becomes if the debris field is left unmolested for the scientists and accident investigators to look into it.
And that we don't know, but I assume it's a pretty vast one. Captain, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.